went on my annual road trip. The stars at night shine big and bright. Hey guys, welcome to Faux Pods with Lola. Welcome back if you've been here before. If you're new, what up? My name is Lola. Format that has none of the actual podcast jargon. And it's mainly just me talking to myself. So if you're here, thank you for listening and actually being a person listening. So I moved from Casper, Wyoming to Denton, Texas between my sophomore and junior year. It's a little stressful to be on the precipice of jumping into adulthood and then kind of having to start all over again in a way. I learned a ton from it in the long run. At the time though, I ended up moving in with my sister. Her and her family were moving to Texas. I won't get into too much of the actual reason why. My sister felt it was the best thing for us. So that I could graduate and so that my younger brother, so that we had more of a support system than we did at that time. So I moved to Texas and immediately gained about 20, maybe 30 pounds. We lived in a campground for a while because we couldn't find a place. I was a bedwetter. So the time I was 18. So I don't know why I brought up the bedwetting thing. That's weird. Just to kind of add to the general air of that was a really tough time in my life. I was complete and utter black sheep in a lot of areas of my life. On top of all the layers of emotional stuff going on is fucking high school, So, but I jumped right in with both feet. Theater group. I was in 3 productions. I did tech theater for one act play competition. I won an acting award for that. That was cool. I graduated with honor cords in theater. I had my first job at 7-Eleven. I got whipped into shape in a lot of ways, and one of the main reasons was because I left my comfort zone. That's when you have a chance to grow and change. I usually go to Wyoming, or at least I tried to go to Wyoming in the summertime, so that my daughters have a change of pace, so that they can kind of see how life is in a different place. How things in California where we live, kind of fast-paced, something to always go see and do. You never really bump into the same person twice unless you live in close proximity to them, that kind of thing. To a place where everybody knows each other. You went to high school with them, you're fucking their brother, something like that, I, for some reason, decided to go to Texas and see my sister. I did go back when my oldest daughter was 3, and she's now 16. So it's been 13 years. I was like, is this really something I want to do? Is this a good idea? My intuition always guides me where I need to go. If I have an inkling or, just kind of a random thought to do something I don't normally do, I know that it's for a reason. So I trust that, even if it kind of kicks my ass in the process. So I bought the ticket, I took the bride, picked up my dad. So it was kind of a double road trip, but so we went to Colorado, picked him up. Then as soon as we got there, about a day or 2 into the trip, the alternator in my car decided it didn't want to work anymore. And so that kind of threw off the trajectory of the timing and the budget and all that stuff. But we got it worked out, so whatever. But I got to spend time with my sister and her husband and their son. Sister has 2 kids. They were the ones that gave me confidence to have my own kid. They're just that amazing. And I had a chance to get to know him as he's gotten older. He's 27 now, and I'm I think that was part of it. And then also I got to reconnect with 2 of my good friends from high school. Big shout out to Lizard and to Hillary. I love you guys. After high school, I just kind of really quickly left. I just took a ditch and went back to Wyoming for a little while, and then I moved to California. It just reaffirmed that the people in your life that you have an affinity for, even if you can't articulate when you meet them why you have an affinity for them, those people are always going to be a safe space for you. Those 2 friends always had something encouraging to say, creative, interesting, fun, kind-hearted people. It was rad to see them and to reconnect. Thanks, ladies. And then also I got a chance to kind of check in with myself and see in a roundabout way where I'm at in my personal growth, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, I had this barrier around me, so I didn't really let a lot of people in fully. Some of my friends in school and stuff, but people in the family, I didn't. I was very closed off. I think that kind of prevented my sister And me we don't really have like the closest relationship anyway. And then she became my pretty much surrogate mom. That took a lot of guts for her to do that. That took a lot of heart, and it took a lot of sacrifices for her, and her family. I'm infinitely grateful for that time that she just was like, hey, I recognize that you need something you're not receiving, so let me help you. We're kind of, as sisters, tend to be complete and polar opposites. A conservative Christian person, and then there's me who's like just not. We're just very, very different. It was cool to go back to her turf. Her two kids are grown now, and they, my nephew still lives with them, so I had a chance to reconnect with him. Like I said, it got me to thinking about how my take on that time in my life, I felt like I was a burden on their family. But from my nephew's perspective, I think it was really cool to have his aunt around. When we went this summer, this time, we talked about the industry and like what we like and don't like, and like what the issues are there, and like why Disney needs to just sit down and take a break and reassess. Those conversations for me are rare, and so it was just brilliant and wonderful to have that conversation with someone that has a special place in my heart anyway. Having the actual road trip with my dad, we were jamming to country music, old school country, and like doo-wop music, kind of chinked away at our kind of repairing some of the things between us. He didn't have the greatest childhood either, so it's really cool that he and I had a chance to do that. I mean, he's 77. I don't know how many other opportunities I'll have like that to have with him. He's an amazing dude. I recommend getting to know older people. They have something to offer that younger generations don't. It's well worth getting to know what that is, seeing their perspective, and just know why they're a Trump supporter. Because that's the only way that you really get to know, and that you break down barriers in any way, is to have a conversation and to open up. It was really fun. In the middle of all of it, and kind of very calmly and profoundly, I think the bigger picture and what I realized, I am always going to be on a different path than most people. And that's okay. For so many years, being a weirdo, being different, having a different slant on things, not keeping my mouth shut when I should, doing what I want to do despite what other people say. It was a horrible like scarlet R for rebel on my chest. Now that I've grown, and now that I've come into my own power and kind of dwell in my own power a lot more, I see that that's actually really rad, and that's a superpower. I had to go back to ground zero and observe that. And then I saw, just from a mom standpoint, the things that I can improve upon, and then the things that I should give myself a high five for. My oldest daughter was able to stay here on her own at 16. There were no wild parties because she's really not of that vibe. There was nothing questionable going on. And I know that for a fact because we have a great relationship. It's very honest. It's very open. So I assured her, hey, even if you do, because that's what teenagers do, just be respectful. And she was just like, dude, she was offended that I even thought that she would do something like that. She was able to not only stay here on her own and hold down the fort, started her first job all on her own and used public transportation and was able to get there and back. And at some point, you got to just be like, all right, fly. There. She totally did. And I'm ridiculously proud of her. And she's loving the job. She's still there. Stoked beyond belief. With my younger two, I got to see that they're not far from their big sis. They have a sense of self and a sense of understanding, politeness, a forthrightness that they don't teach in public schools. Whatever sacrifices I've made to be at home with them, to be their learning coach as they do online public school or whatever it is, our path, even though it's different, it's yielding wonderful results. And being around older generations of my family and seeing how they kind of started that ball rolling for me, and then I took the ball and pushed it further, and now my kids are going to take it even further. Like, it was very life affirming, and it was good closure. Moral of the story, you got to just trust and know, even in the darkest times, that it's leading you somewhere if you're open to the change, if you're open to yourself, if you're honest with yourself, if you just kind of embrace life and grab it and just be like, fuck yeah, life. The road will rise to meet you. Interesting interaction though, fun side story, in Beaver, Utah. That's an actual place. So we check into this little mom and pop run motel. The guy is, a foreign guy. I think he's from India or something. We were having a little bit of a time like talking to each other, like getting the point across. Reflex action is to like kind of overcompensate and be like overly like, okay, great. Like that's, what did you say? Oh yeah, okay. So I was very like open and like, smiley and, you know, happy. And maybe he thought that that was flirting, like that I was flirting with him. Then we go and get something to eat and we come back. He's like walking, you know, towards our room right as we get out of the car. And he was just like, oh, hey, how's everything going? You know, like, what's up? So I was just kind of like, oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And then I was just like, oh, by the way, you know, I had noticed that the TV wasn't turning on, just for what it's worth, maybe the satellite's out. And then he just kind of like stepped in the room, grabbed the remote, and he's like, oh, no, let me show you. And he was like, no, it's only this channel, this one, and this one. And I was like, okay, thanks. Thank you. And then he cocked a hip and kind of tried to be like casual. And he was like, so you're from California? I just took a half step and I don't know what the look on my face was. He was just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll go. You know, and he just kind of like awkwardly left. My two kiddos, they're very protective of me, as kids are of their moms. And so they were just like, what was that about? I can't believe he thought he could just come in here clutching their pearls. They couldn't believe that. But he shot his shot, you know, flattered, but not interested. I think they had a two-way mirror in the bathroom too, because you know that trick where if you put your finger on the mirror and your finger touches itself, then it's just a mirror. But if you put them like in it, your fingers don't touch themselves, that means it's a two-way mirror and someone's recording you or watching you from another room. Allegedly, that's the deal. So I don't know if that really was the case, but my fingers didn't touch on the mirror. I don't know what made me check. But, you know, divine guidance is helping me not show up on internet voyeur fetish sites or something. I don't know. But needless to say, we changed in the other room. We didn't change in the bathroom. Potentially really sketchy, but it was fine. It's just all in a day's road trip, really. All in all, it was a very interesting trip. Fun and apparently necessary. I think the girls really had a good time and we were so happy to be back. Every time we leave California on the way back in, right before we're coming back to California, we play California by Phantom Planet, which it's the theme song to the show The OC. Back in the day with like Misha Barton, it used to be a big deal. That's where most people know it from. We jammed to it on the way back. I live in a place where I really get to embrace the idea of yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, right now is the precious present because it's a gift. And I really do subscribe to that. I challenge myself to do better. No one here really gives a shit, you know, in a big city. They're just like, okay, whatever. I'm proud of the evolution. Are you a hometown person? Did you stay in your hometown? Did you leave and find, you know, broader horizons? And let me know, why did you stay and why did you go if you left? I'm always fascinated to know why you love where you live. I guess that's all for now. Hit the thing and the other thing and the little notificationer. I will see you guys soon. Until then, catch you guys later.